My name is Emily. I'm 36 years old now, living on my own in a cozy little apartment on the outskirts of the city. It's nothing fancy, just a one-bedroom place with a tiny kitchen and a balcony that overlooks a quiet park. I got married 7 years ago, full of hope and dreams for a happy future. But life doesn't always go as planned. My ex-husband's name was Ryan. He was 6 years older than me, tall with that charming smile that had once swept me off my feet. At first, everything seemed perfect. We met at a mutual friend's wedding, and he was so attentive, bringing me flowers and planning surprise dates. But as time went on, the cracks started to show. Ryan wasn't the husband I thought he would be. He worked long hours at his job in sales, which I understood at first, but he never made time for us. He'd come home late, reeking of after-work drinks with his buddies, grab whatever was in the fridge, and crash on the couch without so much as a, "How was your day?" Our conversations dwindled to arguments about bills or chores. He had this way of dismissing my feelings like they didn't matter. If I tried to talk about how lonely I felt, he'd wave it off with a grunt or change the subject to his stressful day. And the drinking, it started as a beer after work, but soon it was every evening, bottles piling up in the recycling bin. He'd get moody, snapping at me over the smallest things, like if dinner wasn't ready exactly when he wanted it. There were worse moments, too, at social gatherings, like office parties or family reunions. He'd make snide comments about my appearance or my job as a teacher, saying things like, "Emily's just playing school with kids all day," right in front of everyone. It humiliated me, making me feel insignificant and small, like I was nothing without him. I remember one holiday dinner where he laughed at my attempt to cook a fancy meal, calling it barely edible, while our relatives shifted uncomfortably. I swallowed my tears and pretended it was a joke, but inside, it chipped away at my confidence. I loved him once, or at least I thought I did, but love shouldn't feel like walking on eggshells. The anger was the scariest part. It built up slowly over the years. He'd yell during fights, slamming doors so hard the walls shook. Once he threw a glass against the kitchen wall because I questioned where he'd been all night. Shards flew everywhere, and I spent hours cleaning up while he stormed out. He never hit me, but the fear was always there, that one day he might. I confided in a few close friends, but they said things like, "All marriages have rough patches," or "Give him time. He's under pressure." I tried counseling once, dragging him to a session, but he sat there with his arms crossed, refusing to open up. "This is a waste of time," he muttered, and that was the end of that. After 5 years of marriage, I couldn't take it anymore. The isolation, the constant belittling, the unpredictable rages, it was suffocating me. I packed my bags one afternoon while he was at work, left a note on the table explaining I needed space, and moved in with my sister for a few weeks. The divorce process was messy. He fought at every step, calling me selfish and ungrateful. But I pushed through, hiring a lawyer and standing my ground in court. It finalized 10 months ago, and I finally felt a glimmer of freedom. I got a steady job at a local school, teaching English to middle schoolers, which brings me joy every day. My apartment became my sanctuary, simple, quiet, and all mine. I decorated it with plants, bookshelves full of novels, and soft lighting that made it feel warm and safe. Life was starting to heal, piece by piece. That is, until that fateful Friday night. It had been a long week at work. Parent-teacher conferences, grading papers, and dealing with a rowdy class. I came home exhausted, my shoulders aching from carrying my bag. I kicked off my shoes, brewed a pot of chamomile tea to unwind, slipped into my favorite oversized pajamas, and settled on the couch with the remote. The TV flickered to life with a mindless sitcom, the laughter from the screen a welcome distraction. Outside, the city hummed softly. Cars passing, distant sirens. But inside, it was peaceful. Then came the knock. Soft at first, almost tentative, like someone unsure if they had the right address. I paused, sipping my tea, thinking it might be a neighbor or a delivery guy who'd mixed up the doors. But it persisted. Knock, knock, growing louder, more insistent. My pulse quickened. I wasn't expecting anyone. My friends always texted first, and I hadn't ordered anything. Setting down my mug, I tiptoed to the door, my bare feet silent on the carpet. Peering through the peephole, my blood ran cold. There he was, Ryan, my ex-husband, standing in the hallway light with that same disheveled look, unshaven, eyes bloodshot, probably from another night out. We hadn't spoken since the divorce. Papers were signed. I'd blocked his number, changed my email, and even moved to this new building to start fresh. Why was he here now? My mind raced back to the reasons I'd left. His explosive temper, the way he'd corner me during arguments, making me feel trapped. He'd never been physically violent, but the threats lingered in his words, like, "You can't just walk away from me." I cracked the door open just an inch, the chain lock firmly in place. "Ryan, what on earth are you doing here?" I whispered, trying to keep my voice steady. He flashed a smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. They were dark, unfocused, like storm clouds ready to burst. "Emily, baby, I've missed you so much." He slurred slightly, the scent of whiskey wafting through the gap. "Can we just talk, for old time's sake?" My stomach twisted. "There's nothing to talk about, Ryan. We're divorced. You need to leave." He leaned closer, his hand gripping the doorframe. "Come on, just let me in for a minute. We can work this out. I know I messed up, but I can change. Please." I shook my head, my heart pounding like a drum. "No, Ryan, it's over. Go home." His face hardened, the charm evaporating. "Open the damn door, Emily. You owe me that much." His voice rose, echoing in the hallway. I tried to push the door shut, but he shoved back, his shoulders slamming against it. Thank God for the chain. It held, but the wood creaked under the force. "You can't shut me out. You're still my wife in my eyes," he bellowed, kicking the door with a thunderous bang that rattled the frame. I stumbled back, my hands trembling as I fumbled for my phone on the coffee table. Adrenaline surged through me. I could hear him pounding outside, cursing under his breath. Memories flooded in. The good ones, like our honeymoon in the mountains where he carried me over thresholds, laughing. The bad ones, like nights I'd cry myself to sleep after his outbursts. But now, he was a threat, a shadow from my past invading my present. I dialed my best friend, Sarah, first. "Sarah, it's Ryan. He's here, banging on my door." "I'm terrified," I gasped, my voice breaking. "Lock everything and call the police right now, Emily." "Don't wait," she urged, her tone firm and supportive. Hanging up, I immediately called 911, my fingers slipping on the screen. "Please, help. My ex-husband is outside my apartment trying to force his way in. He's angry and won't leave." The dispatcher was calm, professional. "Ma'am, stay inside. Keep the door locked. Officers are on their way. What's your address?" I rattled it off, then sank to the floor against the wall, clutching my knees to my chest. Every thud from outside made me flinch. Was he going to break in? What if the neighbors heard and did nothing? The wait felt eternal. 15 agonizing minutes of listening to his muffled rants. "Emily, open up! We belong together!" My mind spun with what-ifs. What if I'd never met him? What if I'd left sooner? Finally, sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. Voices outside. "Sir, step away from the door immediately." The police had arrived. 2 officers, their flashlights cutting through the night. Ryan argued, his voice slurring. "She's my wife. I just want to talk." But they were unmoved. "No means no, sir. You're trespassing. Leave now, or we'll have to arrest you." He resisted at first, shouting obscenities, but eventually I heard his footsteps fade away, followed by the officers knocking gently. "Ma'am, it's the police." "He's gone." I opened the door cautiously, tears streaming down my face as I explained everything. They took my statement, advised me on a restraining order, and even waited while I called a locksmith. That night, sleep evaded me. I paced the apartment, jumping at every creak, replaying the scene in my head. The fear lingered like a fog, making me question my safety. The next day, I took action. I filed for that restraining order at the courthouse, sharing my story with a sympathetic clerk. I upgraded my locks to heavy-duty ones, installed a security camera at the door, and even signed up for self-defense classes at the community center. I confided in my coworkers, building a support network I hadn't realized I needed. Sarah came over with takeout, and we talked late into the evening about healing and moving forward. Slowly, the panic ebbed. I started journaling my thoughts, turning the pain into words that empowered me. That encounter with Ryan was a turning point. It reminded me of how far I'd come from a woman who shrank in his shadow to one who stood her ground. I used to be timid, avoiding conflict, but now I advocate for myself. I volunteer at a local women's shelter, sharing my experiences to help others in similar situations. Some people might say he was just emotional, that exes sometimes act out. But they weren't there. They didn't feel the terror in his demands or see the rage in his eyes. I did, and it taught me to trust my instincts. If you're going through something like this, know that you're not alone. Reach out to friends, family, or professionals. It's okay to seek help. It's a sign of strength, not weakness. Protect yourself, set boundaries, and remember, you deserve peace and respect. No one has the right to make you live in fear. If you liked this story, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to English Easy Voice.